There's a wonderful tranquility in the depths of winter, frozen winter. This morning, the incredible frost, frozen dew on the vine. It's wonderful, beautiful, haunting. The next chapter of Flower Power, the Thinker's cartoon, opens my understanding in the process of how do we deal when our lives are frozen, that we seem to be in the depths of winter always, in our personal lives, in our emotional lives, in our professional lives. Life is wonderful. There are seasons. Like with the depths of the frozen winter, we know in our hearts that spring will come, and then summer, and then the autumn, the fall, and the transition of rebirth and renewal, and then death continues and is divinely illustrated in nature. We have to look at ourselves. The unexamined life is not worth living. Said centuries ago. And by whom? I'm sure you know. Please put your answers below. Over the next 10 cartoons, we'll look at the quotes, the wisdom, to come to a greater understanding of who we are. Who am I? What makes me tick? What makes me who I am? And contrary to often misguided, although goodwill from other people, it is not what has happened to me. It is what I do with what has happened to me. It's the most important questions we can ask ourselves. It's the most important journey that we can go on. Because if we're still blaming people, places, or things for who I am or what I am, then I'm powerless. So who am I? More importantly, who are you? And what is the architecture that makes us us? So if the unexamined life is not worth living, then it suggests there should be some tools that would help us examine our lives. There's nothing worse, in my experience anyway, than just not knowing, being completely and utterly baffled by life. I didn't seem to fit in to anything. I didn't understand why. I'd come to the conclusion that I was powerless, that many things are unmanageable, and I realised I needed help. So what tools are available? First thing I had to put down was the weapon of blame. That's the first thing. I had to take full responsibility. The ability of my response, responsibility. Easily said, very difficult to do unless you put down the weapons and pick up the tools. So what tools are available? I found the easiest, or rather than the easiest, the one I could comprehend and understand, the 7 deadly sins and the virtues. I didn't want to be frozen anymore. I didn't want to be locked in time. I didn't want to not advance anymore. I wanted to begin. I wanted to understand. And this, for me, was the beginning in the fact that I could now draw a narrative based on these 7 character defects. Sin just means missing the mark, not in line, not attuned, off center. There's more depth to it than that, but that's up to yourself to go on that journey. Great spiritual teacher Thomas Aquinas said there is only one sin, and that is the sin of pride. And that pride leads to all the other sins. And that was my experience. That pride, me, self-centered, selfish, self-seeking, would lead to gluttony, obsessed, addicted, consumed, all consumed, gluttonous in my thinking. And it would work, being gluttonous for a while. I perceive being gluttonous in my thinking and actions as success. So I would do it again. I became greedy. I'd go from pride to gluttony to greed. And that doesn't make anybody attractive. So people would question my integrity. I didn't like that either. And that would make me angry. And there's only so much that people will take or be involved or be around angry people. I didn't like being angry either. So I started to desire a way out. I lusted after an easier life, a different world, a different country, a different relationship with friends, family. And I wasn't very good at it. And I didn't know why. And that led to what I thought was depression. But it wasn't. It was deep-seated envy. Now I was prideful, gluttonous, greedy, angry, lustful, and envious. And I didn't know. And yet I did, kind of, at the same time. And in order for me to change, it would require work. But I couldn't be bothered. I was slothful. So the reason why I was frozen in time, quite literally, emotionally, mentally, and physically, was not because it's them. There was only one conclusion I could come to. It's me. And I was a lazy liar. And I had to turn to the virtues. Let's see what chapter 4 brings. In the Thinker's cartoon, Flower Power. Join me on the journey. And if you agree or disagree with any of the things I've just spoken about, please put your comments below. I'd love to hear from you. Join our Patreon group where we can privately discuss all the topics. Thank you very much for listening.